fourth goal. How do we make sure that we build, for example, on what Chris is doing in Sulphur? How do we make sure that we have a community that is really tuned in to the environment and to people's health and well-being? There's a little interview, a very short interview here, and I have to read this to you really quickly because it cracked me up, but it really told a great story. Hang on. Well, don't you know, when you're looking for it, you can't find it. I was asking one of our interviewees, I said, who I know for a fact had lost 40 pounds. We were comparing weight loss stories. And he had lost 40 pounds, and I said, wow, how did you do that? And he said, well, number one, I don't eat out here, you know. And he said, mostly I go to the grocery store and I get chicken breasts and vegetables. And I said, is this a community that's difficult to be healthy in? And he said, yes, it is. It is a community where it's difficult to be healthy. And that's not going to fly for our next generation, right? We have Gen Xers were the first generation to be raised with Title IX, giving young women and young men access to all of these sports and activities. We had the president's physical fitness invented during the time that Gen Xers came of age. And these millennials are taking it to the next level. I mean, if you own one of these millennials, they are in a freaking activity all the time, right? They're totally, so they want to live in a community that honors, that honors people's health and well-being. So you shouldn't have to drive your bike to a bike path. You should be able to ride your bicycle to a bike path. I mean, doesn't that just make sense? I mean, really, right? And if you're going to go to the trouble of paving a path, right? I remember this time I was mayor of Urbandale, Iowa. I just have to say it was so charming. He said, I want to take you out on one of our paths. So we went out for a walk, and we were walking for about 15 or 20 minutes. All of a sudden, the asphalt ended. And I said, okay, and he said, I said, how far was that? And he said, that was probably about 1.5 miles. And I said, what if somebody wants to run for 5 miles? He said, I guess they just go back and forth a few times. But one of our opportunities here is to think about how we connect people to the city, to cities within the region, right? In a way that if they want to do a 29er, those of you who are bikers know what I'm talking about. If you want to do a 20, you can do a 29er. And it's not a back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? So the other thing here is you guys have this really amazing and rich food culture, right? I've been in Houston all week. Houston doesn't really have a food culture. I mean, besides the fact that it's hard to get a bad margarita anywhere, I mean, Houston doesn't have a food culture like you guys have food culture. So how do we just take this food culture that you have, that I enjoy every time I'm here, and find a few chefs, a few risk takers, a few innovators who are willing to reinterpret this for the next generation? I mean, can you imagine? This is very, very powerful stuff. How do we, and under this goal, make sure that more people have access to the farmers market so that by the time they get there, it's not all sold out, right? So these are very real challenges, and this is your next generation right here. If we don't get this right, our next generation will have shorter lifespans than we have had. That's not legacy building, right? That's legacy taking.